Hello, my name is Roshan Narayan, and thank you for joining us on In20. If you're watching us on YouTube,
do that back four and protect and pass the ball very, very simply. He is brilliant. If you put leg.
I know what you're thinking, Roshan, that beard of yours, it's gorgeous. You're wrong, it has seen better days. But I'll tell you what is gorgeous, watching Danny Mills do some Pilates moves on his Instagram account. Danny, I've got to say, when I saw you do that, I was like, wow, you made it look so easy. You're fit.
Roshan, you should know, do not believe everything you see on television or on social media. Insta versus reality. Those pictures are set up. You only post the good stuff, don't you?
That's so true. I mean, even when I'm in the gym, I'm always putting up good moves. You've never seen the ones where I've completely looked like, a novice, a noob, which generally most of the time. But let's talk about positives. And the positives right now for Arsenal, if there is any, it's Thomas Partey. It's time to party, as my friends would say. Does he look the part, or is it too early for us to judge?
Yeah, I think we've always known that Thomas Partey is a very, very good player. There aren't too many out there, better defensive midfield players. When he's fit, when he's playing well, he came in and I think he had an instant impact on Arsenal. And then, of course, he's been out for some time, and he was injured. He wasn't playing. And I think that sort of affected the way that Arsenal wanted to play. We know they've been sort of weaker defensively in recent years. And he's that first player that came in. For how many years have we been saying Arsenal need a defensive midfield player? You've got, since Gilberto Silva left, there has been no defensive midfield player. And suddenly Partey comes in and he's the real deal. And that gives you a platform. It means the fullbacks can go forward, can attack. And if you look at what's happening at Liverpool at the moment, because you've got Henderson and Fabinho having to play as centre halves, you're not just losing out because you don't have Van Dijk, you don't have Gomez. You're losing out in that midfield area because the two fullbacks, Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe doesn't quite have the confidence to go forward because he knows that actually the defence is a little bit weaker, but also that midfield is a little bit weaker. So you're damaging both parts of it. And same obviously with Robertson. And I think Arsenal maybe have suffered a little bit similar. Players don't want to always go forward because they know they haven't got that protection. And with Partey back in, maybe they can get back to doing what they were doing, sort of, the better run under Arteta.
So just to go back and emphasize on what you said, Arsenal have been missing that kind of a player since Gilberto Silva left the club. So what does that make Granit Xhaka then? I mean, what is his role when he's on the pitch? Is he a defensive midfielder? Is he just there for... Actually, what is he there for?
I don't know.
Okay, that's mean, but I mean, that's an honest
question. No, but he's a good player. He's an international. He's a good footballer. Let's not take that away from him. But I feel that the defensive midfield position is a very specialised position. You have to sacrifice yourself and be prepared to sit in and do all the dirty work, not really get the plaudits. Look at what Højbjerg's doing at Tottenham. He just sits there. He breaks things up. He plays. It's not about scoring goals. It's not about assists. It's none of that. It's all the things that people in football recognise as being vital. And being absolutely and being brilliant within that team. But you don't get all the plaudits from the media. You're not getting the man of the match awards and all those types of things. I think you have to go through it. Xhaka's a good player, but he's not that out and out holding midfield player. When you look at N'Golo Kante, what he did in his, when he was playing at his very, very best. Nemanja Matic, equally, just sat there. When he was at Chelsea and those times, was incredible, was immense playing in that holding, midfield position. And Arsenal, I think, have struggled to find a player to sit in that role, probably since Gilberto Silva left. And that's the last time they were really challenging for the league.
Fair point. Okay, so you mentioned a few names then. I think it'll be quite hard for anybody to pick who was the best holding midfielder. But I know he's deployed differently in this day and age, but at one point in time, Fernandinho was up there. So say perhaps in the past 5 to 6 years.
He's still there in a slightly different role because I've said many times, and I was at Manchester City yesterday, obviously Fernandinho played. Fernandinho has... Okay, he's very, very experienced. He's sort of to the twilight of his career now. when everyone was talking about, what Manchester City were missing, this is exactly the same as what happened to Liverpool. Fernandinho was brilliant at centre half and did a really, really good job. Okay, he made the odd mistake from time to time because it's not his natural position and you're always going to get caught out, but he was superb. But what that takes away from is how good he was in the midfield area and what he added. When Fernandinho's playing, he's the driving force. He's the player saying to everybody else, come on, you've got to follow me in. If I go and close down, you've got to do this. He will get forward. He will have, the odd long shot. He will put his foot in. He will be box to box. He does all these types of things. And he sets the tone for Manchester City. So I think he was, yes, Vincent Kompany was obviously one of the biggest losses. But then you have to take away from that midfield because Fernandinho was not in that role. And he couldn't do what he's best at. And I think Manchester City are much, much better when Fernandinho plays. And this is because it's that leadership. He's not Roy Keane, he's not Patrick Vieira, but he's of that ilk. It's his leadership skills within the team that he makes everybody else play better.
Okay, so the hard question is, which I was about to ask you, in the past 5 to 6 years, let's go back even further. The past decade, in terms of holding midfielders, how would you rank them? Just the names you mentioned as well, who would you go for as the number one?
Well, I think Fernandinho has to be up there, and N'Golo Kante. I don't think, N'Golo Kante's won everything. He's won the Premier League twice. He's won the World Cup. Fernandinho, has been up there as well. Look at what, Manchester City were in their prime. Those two, I think, in the last 10 years, certainly those two have been up there with the very, very best in the world.
Okay, fair enough. It's funny also we mentioned, past 10 years, but Makelele, Kante and Matic all at Chelsea and all the best in their roles. Is unbelievable how Chelsea always got that right. Has Arsenal got it right by signing another player from Real Madrid? Makelele came from Real Madrid to Chelsea. Arsenal have signed a young boy who hasn't been proven yet at the highest level. Do you think he's got it to succeed at the Gunners?
Well, it's interesting. They've obviously let Ozil go. That's now done and dusted. They've brought in Odegaard. He's confused everybody in England this week because
I saw the clip as well. I was like,
all players doing a video. You can call me Odegaard or you can call me Odegaard. It's like, oh, hang on, just give us one. It's your name. You choose what you want to be called. But I think he's been brought in and he will be used not sparingly. But, he's not going to go straight into the team. It's an opportunity for him to play, a very, very high level. He's clearly got talent.
Was it a desperate signing for Arsenal to show someone, okay, we are trying to replace Ozil? Or is he just been brought in as surplus?
I think for now he's maybe been brought in as possibly not a squad player because he's maybe a little bit better than that. But he's going to have to wait for his opportunity. And when he gets that opportunity, we'll see how well he does. He's clearly talented. We know that. He's got obviously a lot of ability, but can he do it in the Premier League? It's a very, very tough league to come into. There are very few players that just, turn up and are brilliant, especially young players as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does.
So if you were watching him play, what are the things that you saw or rather Arsenal would have seen in him to bring him across and that would have helped the club move forward in the right direction?
Well, I think he's similar to maybe Van der Beek at Manchester United in the way that he played. Obviously, Van der Beek's not been given an opportunity at Manchester United, which is a little bit strange. But he's neat and tidy on the ball. He wants to get into the box. He retains possession. He wants to play those forward passes and create opportunities for other people. So I think now that's what Arsenal maybe have been missing. A number 8, a number 10. You've got Pepe, you've got Aubameyang, Lacazette. It might be even Smith Rowe now. Coming through, but they need balls played into them. They need balls played in behind the opposition. You've got to get somebody on the ball to be that creative player. And again, Arsenal, since Ozil has gone off the boil, haven't really had that.
We're talking about signings, potential signings. The team that Arsenal were playing just a few hours ago was Manchester United. They've been linked with a centre-back from Sevilla, the Frenchman, and I hope I'm not butchering his name, Jules Koundé. And what I'm surprised is, okay, fine, he's a good player, but what I'm surprised is he's being talked about being Harry Maguire's partner. Now, if anybody has watched Manchester United in the past 4 to 5 months, are you trying to tell me that Harry Maguire is a better centre back than Bailly or Lindelof? And be honest, I don't think so. I think they're better than him. But your choice, Danny.
Do you win the league with Lindelof as a centre half? I don't think you do.
Harry Maguire?
Bailly on his day is superb, but he's had a lot of injury problems. And that's been a little bit of an issue for him. He's been in and out of the side too often. Harry Maguire at his best is a very, very good player and a very, very good defender. But I think he needs a solid partner alongside him. And I think, that will bring him on. That will make him a better player. And I think, Manchester United are looking for that partnership. Would you have said that, Joel Matip, was outstanding, but you put him along Virgil van Dijk and they win the title, they win the Champions League, because, suddenly they have an understanding, Lovren was in there as well. Sometimes it's about complementing each other, and working out the best partnership. Harry Maguire was obviously very, very expensive. He's captain of Manchester United. He's not going to get dropped. Whether you think he's great or not, ain't going to happen. So it's how do you get the best out of Harry Maguire? Well, maybe you need to find him a different partner. Okay.
True or false? So you can just correct me if I'm wrong. If you ever play, I know you were right back, but as a centre back, okay, when with your partner and you always know your partner is not always that reliable, you always tend to cover for him as well, correct? Drop a bit deeper, just make sure that, he's being, okay, if he makes a mistake, I'm there, but at the same time, I've got to cover my man. So with Lindelof, who, to his credit, has played alongside Smalling, Jones, and now Maguire, if you put him alongside a decent centre-back, don't you make him better? Because, he seems to be a little more reliable. He's always found in the wrong spaces, and that for me is because he's always covering for all these other centre-backs who are English and never get blamed.
Yeah, I just Lindelof. He's a 6.5. He's a 6.5 out of 10. Maybe a 7 out of 10. Majority of the time, to win the title, you need 8 out of 10s. You need Terry Carvalho. That's the sort. You need Company and Laporte. Your Van Dijk and Matip. How good they were. You've got to be defensively so good in that area. It's one of the key places. On the pitch. And I just think Lindelof is not bad. He's not a disaster, but he would be ideal backup, I think. If Manchester United want to go and really challenge for the Champions League and really want to challenge for the Premier League, I think they have to strengthen in that area.
There's rumours about Virgil van Dijk that, he overlooked United. And, you never know if it's true or not. Charlie Austin was the one who came up with that story, but I'll always take it with a pinch of salt. So, okay, United, if they bring this person in, they've sorted. Everywhere else is covered for them?
Cavani long term, does that work? Cavani's been brilliant. And I said from day one, I thought he'd be very, very good. He has that leadership quality, a little bit like, Fernandinho at Manchester City. His work rate is exceptional. That's infectious. That then goes through the team and everybody else has to work that little bit harder. So I think the long-term replacement as a centre forward, Cavani's not going to last forever, is he? So I think that's where they need to look next, for that number 9 position. They've struggled, obviously. Zlatan was brilliant, but obviously then got injured and then left. And now Cavani's come in again, sort of elder statesman. Again, you could always add, a little bit of strength in depth, but they're in a decent place. They're not. If all their players are playing to the best of their ability, then they're not a million miles away.
One thing that surprises me, and we'll move on after this, is no one has looked at a particular Turkish centre-back who plays for Leicester City.
Well, I guess now you'd have to... What's he had? A season and a half, really?
But he's good, right?
Yeah, but maybe not even that. And, you could say that, Ben White was exceptional at Leeds, and I thought he would do very, very well. And then obviously gone to Brighton, and he struggled because struggled inside.
Yep.
I think everybody's a little bit scared of an incredible 6 months, had some great performances during COVID times, but going from Leicester, where there aren't the external pressures, to win titles, to win.
Yeah, mentioned this before,
that's the difference. You can be a good player when there's not as much pressure. The pressure that you have, and Rio mentioned it when he went to Manchester United, you have to win every single game, simple as that. You have to win titles. Might be, he's young, he's a good player, but it might be, maybe not this, it won't be this window, might be in the summer, might be the summer after. Centre halves can play, well into their 30s, so he's got plenty of time.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes to talk about something quite serious, and you can always, say you're not comfortable with the topic. But Danny, something which has been happening of late to a couple of Manchester United players is the whole racism scenario, which is in 2021. It's still idiotic that people still have issues with this. Just because you look different or your sexual preference is different, people have problems with that. Isn't it about time that football governing bodies, I'm talking about your FIFAs, your UEFAs, the Premier League, the FA, whoever, really, really take some serious action? It's all good having a campaign with a shirt, with a hashtag on it, but there's got to be some sort of legal ramifications if something happens of this sort, correct?
I've said many, many times, it's a case of almost, you don't want vigilantes, but it's almost a case of name and shame. You have to be responsible for your actions. The problem is because of, government, you talk about the FA, FIFA, UEFA, whoever it might be. If it's people on social media, if it's people on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever it might be, it's very, very difficult to associate them with a football club just because they say they're a Burnley fan or a Chelsea fan or a Liverpool fan or whatever. That's irrelevant. The clubs have no control, over that. So I think this has to be, again, and we've said it many, many times, this has to be a social media issue. Verification, put your details in. Maybe you have to give your credit card details, or you have to give your driving license or your passport number when you sign up for these. And if you're going to abuse somebody, then be responsible for it. You can do whatever you want in life, but you have to be prepared to face the consequences. If you want to be a complete idiot, and if you want to be a racist, then that's your prerogative. But everybody else is going to know that you're a racist, and everybody else should know that you're that, and you will be judged accordingly on that. And I think that's the only way forward is to out these people and say, okay, look, imagine if I'm sat there now and a keyboard warrior is typing away and sends out a racist tweet or the post on Instagram, whatever it might be, and then okay, everybody goes, right, this guy said this, and he has to walk into work on Monday morning, or he has to go to take his kids to school. And if people are going, that's the guy. That's the only way to stop it. I don't see any other way of being able to do it. There have to be serious consequences for people doing this. And the only way to do it is to control it, and that's so stop ghost accounts, stop fake accounts. When you sign up for something, the only reason you don't want to put in your passport details or your driving license or whatever it might be is if you've got something to hide. And if you want to, if you want to do something wrong, and we are talking about a very, very small percentage of the population that do this. So why not? And so this is now, I think, for social media companies to come out and be really, really strong. And at worst, you just block these accounts. Simple as that. So you either name and shame them or you block them.
Would you say, okay, fine, if it's the responsibilities of the social media companies, football clubs like your Manchester United are heavily involved with social media, so shouldn't they as well put pressure on these organizations to say, see, you've got to stop this? It's not like...
Well, it's catch-22, isn't it? It's almost if football clubs came out and said, right, that's it, all our players are no longer going to be needs to go. All our players are no longer going to be on
football club itself.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's like, oh, hang on a minute, how does that work for the players? The players start going, hang on a minute, I've got endorsements and I'm getting paid for this. Again, that's a really tricky one. I don't think it's that difficult. It's simple. You verify who these people are, you find out who they are, and then they are dealt with by the authorities. Simple as that. Their accounts are closed. They can never have an account again. And worst case, they are named and shamed. Simple as that. Just like you would be in the real world. If you go to court and you're found guilty of something, it's in the paper, it's in the press.
Yep.
Racist abuse. Racist abuse should be no different. So when you go for a job, conviction for racism. Simple as that. Oh, you ain't getting this job then. Out you go. And I think that's the only way you can deal with it.
Well said, Danny. I think there's a lot more thought to be put through it in terms of the process and how you deal with it. But I think it's a start, and I think it should be started sometime soon. It's been a pleasure, my friend. I shall see you next week. And remember all the talking points, all the highlights on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram account, which is social media. Till the next week. Take care.